Hi folks, happy Thursday. Today's target is to distinguish the difference between a law and a theory in real-world scenarios. Before we really hit that target, I want to take a little bit of time and talk about why we're learning about that target. Because, quite frankly, it's a serious question. I could totally see you guys thinking that, you could go the rest of your life not knowing the difference between a law and a theory. And it's true. You absolutely could. A lot of people do. And you know what a lot of people are? Ignorant. These ignorant people think they know what these words are, and they misuse them all the time. In fact, I would hazard a guess that many of you guys don't actually know the difference between these two words and what they mean. Go ahead, take a moment, and before we really get into this lesson, what do you think a scientific law is, and what do you think a scientific theory is? Don't worry if your answer is right or wrong, okay? We're just establishing what's called preconceptions. What do you think prior to the lesson about these topics? What do you think they mean? Okay, we're going to come back to that in just a little bit. So, I told you guys that a lot of people use these two terms wrong. They think it means one thing, when in actuality it means something completely different. Why is this an issue? Well, when we use words that we don't know, we spread misinformation. We think things are true when they're actually not. We believe ideas are actually founded when they're not. And I'll kind of come back to that a little bit as we kind of get into the lesson. But first, let's quickly identify what exactly do these words mean? Because in order to hit this target, in order to understand why it's important, we need to know the basic definitions of these two words. Okay. There we go. All right. So a law is a statement about what happens. Okay. And a theory is an explanation of things. There are other words there as well, but at its core, that's really what you need to remember. Laws explain what happens. Theories explain things. Okay. I bet when most of you guys gave your preconception, you guys said something along the lines of, a law is always true, a theory is sometimes true. Because that's what a lot of people think. And when they use these words, that's what they think they mean, but they're wrong. That is not what they mean in the scientific community. In the scientific communities, theories explain how, and laws explain what. So I can kind of start to feel some of those gears in your brain starting to turn a little bit. Let's come back to that earlier question. Okay, so why does this matter? Well, because when people say, well, evolution's just a theory, they're being idiots. That's the simplest way to put it. They're saying that evolution is a theory. Yes, evolution is a theory. What's your point? It's explaining how life began. It's explaining how life continues to change, how different species grow. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean that there are some scientists that think it's wrong. It's just explaining how things happen. And so that's why it's important to know some basic scientific vocabulary, like the differences between a law and a theory. Because otherwise you're ignorant and you're going to say something that's not true because you think it's true because you don't actually know what the word means. That's why we're learning about these words, to defeat ignorance. Okay. Let's take these definitions a little bit deeper, just so that we get a full understanding of what they mean. So laws are statements about what happens in nature that seem to be true all the time. It does not explain how or why things happen. A great example of a law is what goes up must come down. This is true 100% of the time. And it is really saying a what. It's not talking about how it goes up. If we said something along the lines of gravity allows an object to fall to the earth because objects with mass are attracted to each other. That is the theory of gravity. It's a little longer. It's explaining how gravity actually works. What goes up must come down. It's very short, it's to the point, it's direct, it's saying what happens. Okay. Theories have a lot of evidence and observations to support them. And neither laws or theories really ever get broken or changed often. It does happen. There have been a few cases over the past 1,000 years, 2 or 3 times a law or theory has been altered or an amendment has been given to one. But quite frankly, both laws and theories are written in stone. They can change, but really rarely. 99% of all laws and theories that ever get written have not changed since the day they were written. Okay. I say that 99% number a little loosely. It might be 98%. You get the drift. The vast majority of laws and theories, they don't change. Okay, so now that we've hit the first part of today's target, we can distinguish the difference between a law, the what, and a theory, the how/why. Let's take a little bit of time and make sure that we can actually do it in real-world scenarios, because ultimately, knowing just the definitions is absolutely useless. Like, okay, not absolutely useless, it's something. But if you can't actually apply theories and laws to the real world, that's what science is. It's the world. That's what we're learning about. We're learning about the natural world. So if you can't actually use science in correlation with the natural world, you've really just memorized a couple of definitions. So on the test, you're going to need to be able to apply it. That's what I'm saying. All right, let's go over a practice problem together. The greenhouse effect describes a process where certain gases cause the atmosphere to get warmer. Do you guys think this is a theory or a law? This is a theory. Okay. Why? Well, one great word that we have here is the word process. See, process is describing a mechanism, a step-by-step process, a series of things that happen. Whenever you see the word process in a statement that is either a law or a theory, it's a theory, because a process is a way by which things happen. Therefore, we are describing how things happen. And that can be a little tricky, right? You might see this and think, oh, this is super short, so it's a law. But that keyword process should instantly tell you this is a theory, because that's effectively, they're like synonyms almost. Okay. Yeah. Totally 100% true. The greenhouse effect is this process whereby greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane go into the atmosphere, and they kind of create a sort of blanketing effect. Not exactly a blanket per se, but a blanketing effect that insulates the Earth, called the greenhouse effect. Okay, so just because it's a theory, it's still true. Next one. Evolution through natural selection shows how living organisms with better suited traits produce more offspring with similar traits, and organisms with traits poorly suited to their environment produce fewer offspring. Do you guys think this is a law or a theory? I actually gave you guys the answer to this one a little bit earlier in the video. Evolution is a theory. That does not mean that evolution is wrong. It just means that evolution is a process. It's explaining how evolution happens. How does evolution happen? Through natural selection. What is natural selection? Organisms with better suited traits produce more offspring. Simple as that. If there are antelope that are faster than other antelope, the slow antelope get eaten by lions, and the fast antelope have fast antelope babies. That's an example of natural selection. That's an example of how evolution happens. And it happens in all kinds of different places. Next one. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. Is this a law or a theory? An object in motion tends to stay in motion. This is a law. There's a couple of cool ways that we can figure it out. A good starting point is to just frankly look at the length of it. Laws typically are shorter. What is usually shorter than why. Why can be fairly long. Why can frankly take multiple sentences to answer. But usually what type questions are fairly straight to the point. This is just saying what happens when an object in motion moves. It stays in motion. What? It's saying what happens. It stays in motion. It doesn't say why it stays in motion or how it stays in motion. It just says it stays in motion. Law. One more problem. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Another common way to think about this is when you touch something, it touches you. Is this a law or a theory? This is also a law. And the reason this is a law is because it's explaining what happens. If an action occurs, an opposite action will also occur. It doesn't say why, it's saying what happens. It doesn't say how this opposite reaction will happen, it's just saying it will. So it's a law. Good. Hopefully that helps you guys a little bit with understanding the differences between laws and theories. This is our last target in our scientific method unit. So if you understand this material and the material from previous lessons, you're in a really good place. Regardless, there is a study guide. I'm posting the study guide tonight, and so you guys can work ahead if you want to. There will be a just kind of work day on Friday for you guys to work on that study guide. Monday is a catch-up day because it's a long study guide. So if it takes you 2 days to do the study guide, that's fine. I've broken the study guide up into 5 parts. So if you wanted to do like 3 parts on Friday and 2 parts on Monday, it's a perfectly good way to do it. I won't post the test until Tuesday, but you will be able to take the test on Tuesday. If you have questions or want help with your grade, please come to office hours. I'm more than willing to help. Thanks, guys. Bye.